I'm actually going to use this piece of paper. It's it's got a really smooth side on one side, and I like the way that the watercolor flows over the surface, so I'm going to use that. I'm going to spray it from kind of a distance, just so it's got a light amount of water on it, and then I'm going to use my big flat brush. I'm going to get it really wet, and I'm going to put it into the blue. And I'm just going to begin to sweep it across the page like this. And let the paint just flow down. If you want to accelerate the drying process, you can use a hair dryer if you have one. Otherwise, you just have to kind of be patient. But you see at the bottom where there wasn't that much water sprayed and there wasn't a lot of pigment left on the brush, it's already dry. It dries really fast. So I don't know if you can see the sheen of the water, but as soon as the water is dull and matte, you know that your image is dry. So I'm just going to put that one to the side. So this paper is a little thinner and it's a little bit more textured, but I'm going to see what kind of a texture I can make on this as well. So I'm just going in dry with a really wet brush that's got some blue left over from what I just did. And then I'm going to dip into my Payne's Gray and just kind of like make some marks across the surface here. So you see it kind of bleeding into the paint. You're going to get a whole bunch of spills and things like that. You can't really control that in watercolor. You just have to like flow with what's happening. So I want to add more pigment here, I can. As long as the page continues to be wet, the paint will continue to blend. As soon as it hits a dry edge, it's going to create sort of a sharper edge where it begins to dry. So if you don't want any pigment, but you just want to help guide the paint, you can always wash off your brush. Give it a little dab on your paper towel and sort of help the paint make its way down. So you can absorb paint and wipe it off. If you want to create a more clear zone here, you could do that. So this is a texture. It took 30 seconds to create. Used 2 colors, and yet I think that it's got some beautiful gradations of color and blending. I could definitely see this being used as like a sky and reflection, or as a really cool way to cut out shapes. So you could scan this and bring this into Photoshop, and we could like use it as a cutout background for people, trees, planting, materials, all kinds of things. You could also scan it in and then apply another more digital texture, for example in Illustrator, and put like hatching over top. So yeah, it's kind of like how I make textures, and I would encourage you to get like a nice big piece of, or a nice big sheet of, what am I trying to say? Get a nice big pad of watercolor paper and just use those pages. Just keep trying and keep testing and seeing what kinds of marks you can create. And I guarantee you'll come up with something that you'll be interested in using. So don't think too hard about what you're doing. Just draw the brush across the page and see what kinds of different interactions you can make happen. A lot of the work that I do is literally just testing brush strokes and seeing how I can combine them in new ways. I guess this is all just to say these medias, they can be difficult to use in a really professional way, but we don't really need to focus on drawing pictures or blending things perfectly. All we need to worry about is taking our hand, putting it on a tool, and making something happen on a piece of paper. I think that all of the marks that I create have some kind of, they reveal something about the media, and they make me feel like drawing is not just something that happens on a screen, it happens with my hand. So I think bringing that connection back is really important. So go ahead and test different ways of putting these colors together, mixing them on the page. Okay, I'm going to do one last demo just on a full piece of paper. I have my spray bottle. I'm just going to spray it from kind of a distance so that it gets a few shots of water on it. And then I'm going to take my flat brush and dip it in the Payne's Gray. And then I'm going to flick it onto this page. Now you have to be unconcerned about your surroundings here because it's going to be messy. So I'm just using my finger to flick paint onto the page like this. And then I'm going to go in with my spray bottle and give it another spray. And then I'm just going to create some flat ground over here. Just another kind of cool dynamic texture.